So, we have this sort of dualism going on right now, this continuum between those that want to privatize public education and those that want to see government fulfill its responsibility in providing children with a free and equal and quality education. So let's talk about the two polars on this. Michelle Reed, in Students First. She's the former chancellor of the Washington, D.C. schools. She's now housed in Sacramento. It's not by coincidence that she's in Sacramento. She believes she's a proponent of expanding charter schools and vouchers for low-income families in troubled districts, and still send their children to private schools. So you can see, take the money from the public schools, the money follows the children to the voucher schools, private voucher schools. Just recently, she donated or contributed over $250,000 to several candidates in LA Unified for school board races. Money influences these races. Diane Ravitch, on the other hand, and I see that she's on that pink reading list that Lisa included, her organization is called the Network for Public Education. She's concerned, I'm going to quote something that she wrote, "Wealthy individuals are pouring unprecedented amounts of money into state and local school board races, often into places where they do not reside, to elect candidates intent on undermining and privatizing our public schools." And quite frankly, she just fed up with the corporate style of reform. We'll come back to her in just a little bit. Another person you might find of interest is from the University of Chicago, Paul Horton. And he writes about some of the major foundations in this country. See if you recognize the names of any of these. The Hoover Institute, the Heritage Foundation, American Enterprise Institute, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the Broad Foundation, as well as numerous wealthy individuals that are pumping money into political campaigns, school board elections, and so on, aimed at state boards of education and the creation of curriculum products that require, and here's the common element in many of these things, more and more standardized testing. So it's a common theme that's sort of dragging along with these private venture capitalists, is this assessment craze and standardized testing. There's a love fest going on between these groups. And the other thing that Horton warns us about is that there's a revolving door between these foundations and the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. He's tracking the names, and what he sees is this repetition of people in and out from the foundations to the Department of Ed and back again, all with the same sort of common premise that they think schools should be predicated on. Now, how big a trend is this? The National School Boards Association reports that, in a survey that they did, 62% of all school boards throughout the country have considered in one form or another privatizing certain aspects of their district operations. But keep this in mind, please. What's happening here in the political arena is that taxpayers are sort of buying into this notion of privatization. And it's due in great part to an incorrect perception that the best financial solution for public budget problems, not just in the schools but in other public institutions as well, is to turn public sector work over to private sector companies. And the public is, you can see the surveying on this, it's moving in this direction. However, privatization is not about money, it's about politics. There's a political agenda in all of this. There's a strong underlying relationship between privatization and politics means power, very simply. So it's not about saving money, it's about doing less for less. This is the trend, to reduce our public expenditures and cut back on taxation.